Shalom and welcome, friends, to the Deep Dive. We're here to unpack Scripture together, chapter by chapter. Today we're diving into Genesis chapter 14. And, if you've maybe just skimmed this before thinking it's just some old battle story, well, get ready. This chapter is so much more. It's really a crucial bridge in Abram's story. It connects those early promises from Yahweh to the big covenant coming up in chapter 15. We get this incredible picture of divine sovereignty and, I really believe, some amazing foreshadowing of Messiah Yeshua.
That's exactly right. And what's really fascinating here is what happens after Abram's victory. He has these two encounters, right? Back to back, but completely different. First with this mysterious figure, Melchizedek. And then straight after with the, let's just say, less reputable king of Sodom. And these two meetings, they just perfectly set up this core theme. Choosing between Yahweh's authority and, well, the world's way. It's a choice we all still face.
Okay, yes, let's definitely unpack that. My first thought, reading this again, is kind of a wait what moment.
Yeah.
We picture Abram as this peaceful shepherd, a sojourner living in tents, right? And not exactly involved in big international conflicts. And then suddenly, bam, he's leading this special ops mission against a coalition of powerful kings. It really makes you stop and think about how Yahweh works, doesn't it?
Sure.
Often in ways you just don't expect.
That's why.
A tent dweller leading a raid. Who saw that coming?
It's a great point, yeah. And it really is striking. But it's not just the audacity of Abram winning against these kings. It's how that whole military campaign serves as the backdrop for the really deep theological stuff that comes next. With those two encounters, it's like Yahweh uses this extraordinary situation with this seemingly ordinary man to make these huge statements about his own ultimate authority over everything. Makes me wonder, how often do we underestimate what faith can do? Abram just shatters worldly expectations.
He really does. Okay, so let's dig into the first part, the War of the Kings, Genesis 14, verses 1 to 12. The text lays out this big conflict, sometimes called the War of the Nine Kings or the Battle of the Vale of Sodom. You've got this powerful group of four kings from Mesopotamia and Amraphel, Arioch, Chedorlaomer, Tidal, a real powerhouse coalition. And they're coming down to punish 5 city-states in the Jordan Valley, Sodom, Gomorrah. You know the names because they rebelled after 12 years of paying tribute. And, well, in the ancient world, this kind of rebellion usually ended badly. The northern kings win, they plunder the cities, and critically for Abram, they take Lot captive.
Right. And this War of the Nine Kings, it includes these specific details, like the bitumen pits in the Vale of Sodom, probably the Dead Sea area, and the city names. But, scholars often look at this and see maybe more of a historical romance than a modern historical account. They might point to things like the mention of Dan, which as a city name comes later, but that doesn't take away from its truth, right? The main point here is theological. It uses this big geopolitical scene to say something profound about Yahweh. Think about it. 4 kings, maybe representing the 4 quarters of the known world, this idea of universal empire. And Abram, this lone figure empowered by Yahweh, defeats them. It's a statement. Yahweh's authority trumps all earthly power. Full stop. True authority belongs to him alone.
And the trigger for Abram, the thing that makes it personal, is Lot getting captured. His nephew, that shifts everything. It becomes immediate, a family crisis.
Exactly. Which leads us right into Abram, the pastoral warrior, verses 13 to 16.
It's amazing, really. Abram doesn't hesitate. He gathers 318 of his own trained men born in his household. That tells you something about his status right there. And he gets help from his Amorite allies, Aner, Eshcol, Mamre. They chase the enemy way up north. Then he pulls off this daring night attack near Hobah, near Damascus. And he wins. He gets everything back, the goods, the people, and crucially Lot and his family. Like something out of an action movie.
It really is, isn't it? And it shows this interesting paradox. Abram, the sojourner, the shepherd, commanding this kind of force. It challenges that idea that being a pastoralist meant being weak. Clearly, Abram had significant resources, organization, all signs of Yahweh's blessing. And notice his motive. It's not about grabbing land or power like those other kings. It's purely about rescuing his kinsmen, a righteous act. His authority comes from Yahweh, not from worldly ambition. It's such a contrast to the power politics of the city-states, a strength rooted in divine purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. And this victory, this rescue mission, perfectly sets up the real heart of the chapter, the two encounters, divine blessing versus worldly compromise. He meets these two kings back to back and his reaction to each one. It just lays bare where his true allegiance lies. It's a deliberate contrast.
Couldn't agree more. So first up is the encounter with Melchizedek, king priest of righteousness and peace. That's verses 17 to 20.
Right. So Melchizedek shows up, king of Salem, that's Jerusalem, city of peace, and he's also priest of Elohim Most High, El Elyon. Even the names are significant, right? Melchizedek, king of righteousness, Salem, peace. It's almost perfectly symbolic.
It really is. And he's such a mysterious figure. He just appears, no genealogy given, which is really unusual for a priest figure in the Tanakh. He just is. He brings out bread and wine, huge foreshadowing there, obviously, and he blesses Abram. But listen to the blessing.
Yeah.
He gives the credit for the victory to El Elyon, the creator and possessor of heaven and earth. That's not just being polite. It's a massive theological statement about Yahweh's absolute sovereignty.
And then Abram does something amazing. He gives Melchizedek a tenth of everything. The first tithe mentioned in the Bible. What's the real weight of that act?
Oh, it's huge. Tithing here is a powerful act of worship. Think about it. Normally the victor keeps all the spoils, but Abram gives a tenth to this priest of Elyon. He's publicly declaring, this victory, this wealth, it's not from me, it's from Yahweh. He's putting himself and all his blessings under Yahweh's authority. It establishes this pattern. True blessing comes from Elohim, and we acknowledge that through worship, through giving back. It's faith in action. And then connecting this forward, Melchizedek becomes incredibly important in the New Testament, especially in Hebrews. Hebrews chapter 7 just unpacks him as this amazing type of Yeshua Messiah. His priesthood is presented as outside the Levitical system, without beginning of days or end of life, because Scripture deliberately doesn't give his lineage. This shows how Yeshua's priesthood is superior, eternal, not bound by the law of Moses or human descent. It fulfills this ancient pre-Torah order. And the bread and wine, it's impossible not to see the connection to communion, right? It links this ancient event directly to our central act of worship as Yeshua's followers. It shows Yahweh's plan for Messiah was there from the beginning. Yeshua as the ultimate king of righteousness, Prince of Peace, just like Melchizedek, but infinitely greater.
Wow. Yeah, that connection is just incredible. It really brings it all together. Okay, so from that profound divine encounter, we get this immediate, stark contrast. Abram meets the king of Sodom.
Exactly, the encounter with the king of Sodom, the choice of a new way, verses 21 to 24. And contrast couldn't be sharper. The king of Sodom is named Bera, might even mean son of evil, which is pretty telling. He offers Abram a deal. Give me the people, you keep the goods. A typical worldly transaction after a battle.
But Abram's response is just so emphatic. He swears this powerful oath to Yahweh, Elohim Most High, creator of heaven and earth. And he says he won't take anything, not a thread, not even a sandal strap. That's a total rejection.
And look at why. He says, so that you will never be able to say, I made Abram rich. That's the key. It's a complete refusal to be indebted to worldly power or to let anyone else take credit for Yahweh's blessings in his life. He draws a clear line. His prosperity, his future, it comes solely from Yahweh. He establishes Elohim as his only source. It's a rejection of self-glory, unlike, say, the Tower of Babel builders. It's this amazing model of trusting divine provision over worldly deals. And, it also subtly points ahead, doesn't it? Sodom's wickedness is already hinted at, foreshadowing its destruction in Genesis 19, a warning about aligning with the world.
So you have these two encounters, side by side. Melchizedek, divine blessing, righteousness, peace, worship, acknowledging Yahweh, king of Sodom. Worldly gain, potential compromise, rejected in favor of total reliance on Yahweh. Abram clearly chooses Yahweh's kingdom over the world. He knows where his blessings truly come from.
Precisely. And when you look at Genesis 14 in the tapestry of Scripture, it really serves as this vital preparation for Genesis 15. Abram's faith, his courage, his absolute clarity in choosing Yahweh over Sodom. It shows he's ready for that formal covenant Yahweh is about to make with him. He's proven his heart, in a way.
And his actions become this benchmark of faith, right?
Yep.
Hebrews 11 lifts him up as an example for us. It's about active trust, putting faith into action even when it's hard or uncertain. His faith wasn't just belief, it was obedience.
Exactly. And the lesson from rejecting Sodom's offer, it's timeless for followers of Yeshua. It's that constant call to reject worldly temptations, to not get entangled in systems that compromise our allegiance, and to trust Yahweh alone for our provision, our honor, everything. We're meant to be set apart.
So let's bring this home. What does this mean for us, living today as followers of Yeshua? How do we apply these powerful lessons from Genesis 14?
Well, first, Abram's radical trust, his reliance on Yahweh as provider and defender. It really forces us to look at our own lives, doesn't it? Where do we place our ultimate trust? Is it really in Yahweh, or are we subtly relying on, our jobs, our bank accounts, political systems, our own cleverness? It's a challenge to reevaluate.
That's a good point. And what about acknowledging Yahweh in our successes? Abram was so careful to give Yahweh the glory.
Right. How often do we attribute success to our hard work, our talent, maybe even luck? Instead of recognizing Yahweh's hand, it's about cultivating that attitude of gratitude and dependence, giving him the credit, always.
Yeah, that humility is key. And think about Abram rejecting Sodom's offer, choosing the higher way, even if it meant potentially less material gain in the short term. Where do we face similar choices, maybe small ethical compromises at work, or chasing after something the world values, even if it pulls us away from Yahweh's path?
Absolutely. It's about having that clarity Abram had, knowing that alignment with Yahweh is worth more than any worldly benefit. It means defining our non-negotiables.
And what about Melchizedek? That idea of the royal priesthood that Peter talks about in 1 Peter 2:9.
Yes, this chapter gives us such a beautiful origin point for that. How do we live that out? Reflecting Yeshua, our ultimate king priest. It means living lives marked by righteousness and peace, serving others, offering spiritual sacrifices through praise and good deeds. It's not just a title, it's our identity and calling in Messiah.
And the tithe. Abram giving 1/10 of everything.
It prompts us to think about tithing beyond just money, right? It's about dedicating the first fruits of everything, our time, our energy, our talents, our complete allegiance back to Yahweh in worship. It's acknowledging that He is the source, the creator and possessor of it all. Our entire lives belong to Him.
Wow. So Genesis 14, it's just packed with so much. Yahweh's absolute authority, Yeshua foreshadowed as our king priest. Abram is this incredible model of active faith in choosing God over the world.
It really is profound. And maybe a final thought to reflect on. Yahweh still works through ordinary people today. People who, like Abram, choose faithfulness, choose dependence on Him over the allure of worldly gain or recognition. Your choices matter. Your allegiance matters. Trusting Him can make an eternal difference, just like it did for Abram. It's about faithfulness to the one who holds all power.
Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive into Genesis 14. We hope you'll join us next time as we continue our journey chapter by chapter. As we wrap up today's study, let's pause and reflect on what we've learned and receive the blessings of Yahweh.